Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Apika, and I will be your MC for today. We would like to offer our sincere gratitude to everyone present here today for taking time out of your day to attend this session. And without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Azman Ali on stage for his presentation.
Thank you for the introduction. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and salam sejahtera. I'm Dr. Azman, as mentioned, from Professional Services at TM1. Today I'll be discussing 5 concepts in cybersecurity that can be useful in handling COVID-19 pandemic. Towards the ends of this presentation, I will share some of the introduction to our professional services and how we can help you to achieve business resilience. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been almost 2 years now, and we are still caught in the battle against COVID-19. We are now living a new norm beyond what we have ever imagined before. For some of us, we might have been working from home for almost a year now, more than a year now. So work-life balance has become an integral part of our day-to-day routines and battle as we try to juggle between works and our personal life. Maybe this time around, people start missing the time they were in the office and hope to meet their colleagues and having lunch at their favorite stalls and so on. As a company, Telecom Malaysia has played our part to ease the burden of the community as well as the healthcare systems. In general, we generally help to provision telecommunication services for critical sites, for the CPRCs, and all frontliners are actually working hard to ensure we can address the needs of the Malaysian, especially in providing access to reliable internet infrastructure, which has now become the critical infrastructure for businesses and individuals, regardless of skills, and also individuals, especially with the PDPR. But as a security professional, I couldn't help to relate these issues of this crisis that we are in with the knowledge that we have in the professional and what we do in cybersecurity, and how to see how it can be applied to the battle against the COVID-19. So I chose this topic purposely because I believe it's always good to convey the message, which is about to share at the end, towards the end of this presentation. It's always good to convey a message by relating to the events or things that matter most to us. So towards the end of the presentation, I can introduce you to our professional services and how we can help you delivering your cybersecurity program. So let's hear up the 5 useful cybersecurity concepts in handling pandemics. So the first one is the zero trust. Zero trust is the concept that is not new, but being popularized in the recent years. In zero trust architecture or model, trusts are not granted by default, even though the machine shares a common network or physical space. Plenty of guidelines that has been contributed in the industry towards zero trust architecture and has been defined and available in market. Some are done through what we call the micro-segmentation approach, in which users can only see and access the application of services that they are authorized to, although they sit on the same network or share the same physical platform. This approach is basically designed to replace current VPN technology that grant visibility to all the machines within common network. So in general, zero trust approach pushes the authorization to specific application rather than network. Similarly, when we're dealing with pandemic, the same rule should be applied. Everyone, regardless of their relationship or rank, should be deemed untrusted by default. We have to be suspicious all the time and always assume that other people are compromised. And therefore, we have to take precautions and always take the necessary precaution wherever you can. Our biggest mistakes, perhaps, so based on my observation, is to assume relatives, families, colleagues, or close friends are all COVID-free by default. Or in other words, trusting has now become our weaknesses. Trust here is nothing to do with moral, but rather based on scientific criteria. or judgment. In our world, in our dealing with pandemic, just like micro segmentation in the world of cyber, we have several collection of rules, what we call the SOPs, right? This is the things that called social distancing, regular sanitization, the wearing of mask rules for protection, and the use of zero touch technology. These measures are defined to ensure the zero trust defense are in place, and this goes down to the individual level. That sounds like zero trust in action to me. So let's keep up the good policy that we are doing right now. Now, the second concept that I think is important is the security is always a risk driven. It's important to think that the design security is not like we are building a castle. A castle might be very strong, very solid, very secure, but at the same time very expensive to be built, and in reality might not be practical. Security is actually not designed or not driven by technology alone or how much money we have to spend. Security program or architecture should be driven by the risk, or in other words, it involves the process of risk identification, risk assessment, risk evaluation, and risk management. Some risks might be acceptable, and some might be ignored, and some might be need follow up by corrective action. At some point, the risks need to be prioritized because we can't afford to spend all the time and resources that we have in dealing with risk. A large organization, for example, with hundreds of application of services, might not be can't afford to schedule a regular preventive maintenance just to address or make changes to some of the machines. Therefore, risk should be assessed and prioritized accordingly. So in real life, especially in the context of us handling the pandemic, this concept seems to be relevant because we are dealing with pandemics that can last longer than we earlier expected or anticipated. It can actually drain our economy and collapse our healthcare systems if the proper risk assessments are not in place. So, in designing any program like the vaccination or opening up economy, it must be driven by risk profiling. Addressing them require a proper prioritization so we can channel our limited resources for the right intervention or for the most allocation for the most impactful activities. So these photos that I've shown you in the slides, I think it paints 1,000 words that can relate to the matter that we are discussing. Now, the third concept that I want to share is on the assessment. A few months ago, I had some experience helping out a family. A member was where one of the members was being contracted by COVID-19. There were a couple of tests that have been done, conducted at local clinic. As we all know, there are two types of tests. One is the RTK, which should give you the result within the 2 hours. Another one is the PCR, which are more accurate, but the result will take about 48 hours. Now the problem was we only got both of the result after 2 days, in which she was found positive, and by that time, 4 other members of the family was already contracted and tested positive. So it was actually unfortunate because should the result of the RTK were made known to us within the first couple of hours, things could have gone differently, and we could have saved 4 more casualties or family members being contracted. So rapid scanning and testing like RTK is important, and it need to be fast. It need to be done in scale so we can get a good sample of how well a virus has spread within our community. The other tests like the PCR are more expensive and time consuming, might probably well spent for validation purpose if necessary. Similarly, continuous assessment is what security program should be adopting. So we have vulnerability assessment, which should be quickly identify vulnerability from a wide range of assets. And we have pen testing, which are more of in-depth assessment to validate or exploit vulnerabilities and to find other potential threats that can be exploited. But my point is, both type of assessment serve different purpose, and applying the right assessment might actually help us to prevent more damage in a very structured and timely manners. Applying them at the wrong place would be a waste of money, efforts, and other valuable resources that might have been better used for other impactful activities. Now we come to the concept number 4. In security, we have always remind ourselves that there's no such thing as a bulletproof security. We believed that being compromised is a matter of when, and not a matter of if we are being compromised. So this means that we always have to make an assumption that we will get compromised sooner or later, and thus we need to be ready when the time comes. In business context, this can be translated to having a business continuity plan in order to resume business in the face of adverse. We need to have an infrastructure and people that are ready and have a very clear direction in the time of crisis. Different scenario can be simulated to come up, so we can come up with a detailed planning and consideration. At some point, for example, migrating some application to a secure cloud infrastructure, which are more elastic, could do the tricks. Similarly, in the battle against pandemic, people need to be reminded to always prepare for the worst. This is what we are talking about here. Take good care of yourself, your health, and ultimately register for vaccination when you are ready. We never know for how long we can avoid from being contracted, but at least the least we can do is to be prepared, financially or mentally, and the focus now is about providing a plan and strategy during the time of crisis, and perhaps having an exit and recover from it. Now that brings us to the fifth concept, which is SOAR. That stands for Security, Orchestration, and Automation and Response. In security, SOAR is a stack of compatible software or application that can be orchestrated to detect and respond to incidents without or with less human intervention. The aim of SOAR is to ensure efficiency, to reduce human error, so we can optimize resources such as human analysts that can be actually repurposed to perform other critical security functions. Speaking about applying SOAR concept in handling pandemic, this is actually the best time for example, the government to accelerate digital transformation in all aspects, especially in the healthcare ecosystems. Now, technology like mobile apps, the IoT, the AI, and automation can actually replace repetitive manual tasks and reduce human intervention. It will generate a lot of data and new information that could lead to improvement in handling the pandemic. This could actually save a lot of efforts and resources, especially within the healthcare infrastructure that can be optimized and channeled for a better use. So we have now covered the 5 cybersecurity concepts that can be useful in handling pandemics. Let us now reflect and summarize some of the key takeaways on how we can build successful security program. First step is to look into a framework, identify a framework that would like to align our security program to. This framework, such as the NIST or the CIS Top 20, the ISMS generally comes with a list of controls. So the controls are the parameters that organization can start using as guidelines or as a countermeasures. The organization can use whatever they choose to comply to, right? So the next step has to do with risk management. In risk management, we are dealing with in things like identifying assets, identifying threats, as well as vulnerability. So the assets here refers to the crown jewel, or the things that what the business want to protect. Asset here could be our data, or transaction, or copyright, intellectual property, the physical assets, reputation, the brand, and so on. And there is an element of threat, which perhaps can be defined as a situation or event that eventually adversely impact the organization. And it could come from many threat sources and could be performed by many threat actors. Therefore, there is also a need for the company or organization to identify their threat intelligence feed or advisory feed and to help with threat identification. The other part is vulnerability. On the other hand, vulnerability is like the weakest link that can be identified through the process of a rigorous assessment, technical assessment, or what we call a vulnerability assessment or pen testing. And based on this, what you call frameworks and the security controls that is being recommended, plus the risk management program that is working, an organization will be able to identify their gaps and they can work continuously to improve the performance. They can further tighten up the security control, and therefore they become mature and evolving into a more mature security program. Allow me to introduce and to our professional services in TM1. For decades now, actually, TM1 has been providing various managed security services to Malaysian enterprise and government. Our cybersecurity products covers near 16 product portfolios that covers the all layers of security for identification, protection, detection, response, recovery, and recovery purposes. If you like to map it to the NIST framework, for example. So professional service, here we aim to provide all kinds of consultation, especially to help our customer onboarding our MSSP services. And at the same time, we are also providing security advisory and assessment services that are crucial for the cybersecurity programs, as discussed in the previous slide. So generally, we are a team that consists of architects, consultants, and analysts that will help you with your journey embarking into managed services as well as the hybrid cloud services. As you all know, we are one of the CSP, being a designated cloud service provider by the government in the digital initiative. So of these services, some of these services include for example, review of your security architecture, performing some of the assessment at various levels, for example, as well as consultancy, so you will get the best advice or services that can be tailored to your security programs needs and compliance needs. So talking about our ecosystems, who are supporting us, right? Cybersecurity is a team sport. Right? At TM1, we have a team of professional services that are supported by, a multidisciplinary talents with multi-certification. At this point, our team, our pool of talents manage 3 different teams, SOC teams that oversees among all the government security assets, enterprises, as well as our very own TM Group's complex IT infrastructure. We have recently announced our partnership with a global SOC player, SOC player, Telefonica, in which there are a lot more services such as digital risk protection that looks into, for example, threat intelligence that cover business disruption, fraud, data leakages, or underground trading of your data assets in the deep dark web, in which some of the takedown services could be extended, it could be useful and be extended to our customers. So other services include, for example, cyber deception and academy that may be useful for your staff upskilling, manpower upskilling and certification. And we look forward to announce more of these services in the near future. Apart from that, we are also working with the list of technology partners for more vendor-specific solutions, as what you see in the slide. Yeah, basically that's all I have for my session. Hopefully, you have gained something from my sharing, especially on the 5 useful cyber security concepts they are useful in handling pandemics. The later part of my presentation, I basically introduce you to our professional services. If you have any inquiries, please send us a message in the chat or contact our representative or for our follow-up engagement. Thank you for listening. I hope we'll be all soon recover from this pandemic when you all can go back to office, to our business, and we can travel for a break, for example, meet our extended families and so on. But until then, stay safe and don't forget to get your vaccine. So thank you very much. And Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.